If you've been an outcast since childhood, you have likely spent years trying to fix your personality. But the struggle is not a character flaw. It's a biological adaptation. In developmental psychology, we know that for a child, social exclusion is recorded by the nervous system as a threat to physical survival. As Dr. Stephen Porges describes in Polyvagal Theory, when the social engagement system fails to find safety, the body shifts into a more primitive defense state. You are not overthinking social cues. Your brain is following a survival map. Your nervous system has adapted to the lack of belonging. This leads to the inner critic. In psychoanalytic theory, this is often understood as identification with the aggressor, a concept popularized by Sándor Ferenczi. So, what is this? Essentially, a child who is rejected may subconsciously become the critic to gain a sense of control. If you are the one that's rejecting yourself first, then it feels safer than being blindsided by someone else's cruelty. But this internal voice is not the truth. It's a historical guard that is no longer required for your safety. To ease the pain of that inner voice, we have to dismantle those defensive patterns. So for specific strategies on how to handle that voice, be sure to check out my earlier videos on the inner critic and automatic negative thoughts, which I've linked below. This chronic stress pushes us out of our window of tolerance, a term coined by Dr. Dan Siegel. When triggered, you may spike into hyperarousal states, which can present as panic or hypervigilance or just emotional flooding or a sudden just defensive irritability. Alternatively, you may drop into hypoarousal states, or what Dr. Peter Levine calls functional freeze. This is a state of high arousal stillness. You are going through the motions of your day, but your system is actually overwhelmed and shut down to protect you from pain. To navigate these states, we use grounding through the body. We aren't looking for a total transformation. We are just looking for 5 to 10% more presence in the here and now. This breaks the internal loop, that cycle where your mind, it keeps replaying old rejections as if they are still happening today. So here are 3 ways that we can find that shift. First is the floor press. Place your feet flat on the ground and imagine pushing them right through the floor. Notice the muscles in your legs tighten. This act tells your brain, I am here and I am solid. A second one to try is the orientation scan. Slowly move your head and your neck to look around. Find one object that is your favorite color and then describe its texture to yourself. This pulls your focus out of the outcast script and back into the physical room. And third is the palm press. Just press your palms together in front of your chest, push them against each other hard for like 5 seconds and then let go. This resistance helps you feel the physical edges of your body, which helps quiet that floaty, disconnected feeling. Be sure to check out my previous video on window of tolerance for additional strategies for moving out of hyper or hypoarousal states. I'll put a link to that in the description. The ultimate relief comes through self-attunement. This means moving from seeking belonging out there to becoming a reliable witness to your internal states. When that old feeling of being wrong arises, acknowledge that historical guard. You might say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need that protection right now. Then we practice notice and name technique, or what Dr. Dan Siegel refers to as name it, tame it. By labeling the emotion, you actually shift the neural activity in your brain. You move away from that amygdala, which is the alarm center that handles the alarm response, and engage the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic and regulation. So instead of saying, I'm outcast, you might say, I'm noticing the tightening of my chest that feels like a memory of isolation. You are no longer the outcast child. You are the regulated adult observing the memory. This is where the struggle begins to lose its grip. While these tools are essential for daily regulation, it's important to remember that these deep-rooted adaptations were formed over years. Navigating the layers of childhood isolation often requires a professional counselor to help safely process the underlying trauma. Seeking help is not a sign of being broken. It's just a step in retiring that historical guard. If you've ever felt like the perpetual outsider, I would love to hear which of these grounding tools gave you that 5 to 10% shift in the comments. Hearing your experiences helps all of us realize that we aren't as alone as our survival brains want us to believe. And if you found value in this video, please like and subscribe to join our growing community. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, being human, it's messy and it's beautiful and it's worth showing up for exactly as you are. I'm so glad you're here.